Well, I haven't been driving Old Blue much. Haven't really had a need to, and there's no shows, so got him out to drive around because my jet is down. Actually, the truck battery went dead. Just having a wonderful time here. But I thought I had a problem with it, and I thought, you know what, it's something I do just without even thinking. But I know that some of you guys may have had this problem before, and I thought maybe I'd just walk you through how to do it in case your carburetor does the same thing. Let's just take a look here. So one of the things I learned, I don't know, probably 40 years ago, is how to use engine vacuum to clean out your jets and your carburetor. If you have a car, maybe you just hadn't started it in a long time, or maybe it hasn't ran in 30 years and all of a sudden you get it kind of running and it doesn't run very good. And you don't really want to rebuild the carburetor right away. And maybe it isn't quite that dirty. And sometimes it just, you just want to get it running, give this a shot. What I do is I'll run the engine. I have to explain it to you first, then I'll actually do it in a second in the video here. But you won't be able to see me actually doing it. I mean, you won't be able to hear me. So I'm going to explain it to you first, and then I'll do it in live. So what I do is I rev the engine up to RPMs. Okay, take the air cleaner off. I have this just sitting on here right now, just for you guys. I didn't tighten it up just for that reason. So I rev the engine up, okay, and I put my hand over the carburetor. And what that does is that takes engine vacuum and makes it suck through different jets of your carburetor. So you have, basically most carburetors have 2 to 3 different circuits. You have an idle circuit, you have a mid-range circuit, and you have a full throttle or a high RPM circuit. So, some of them only have 2. They only have idle, and they only have, driving speed. It just depends on the carburetor. But this works for any carburetor, not just VWs. It works for all kinds of them. And I've used, be careful if you use a rag. Some guys use a rag to do it on a bigger carburetor because they can't get their hand over the whole thing. Make sure that rag don't suck all the way in there, because it will. But what you're doing is you're taking your hand and putting it over the carburetor, and you're moving the throttle through different parts of the RPM range to make sure that it gets through that circuit of the jet. So you want to make sure that if the idle circuit's plugged, what's wrong on this car right now, it's all fixed now just from choking it out. You make sure that the throttle is in idle position at some point when you hand your hand over. So you rev up the RPMs really high, let the throttle to 0, put your hand over it for a second, and then be ready to grab the throttle, because you'll flood the carburetor if you do it too much. So it takes a little bit of practice, but it's called choking out your carburetor. We've done this hundreds of times. I had several customers back years and years ago when I was an auto mechanic come into the shop that thought they needed a carburetor rebuild, and we actually just choked it out, and the car ran great for months and months. Years later, they older people that didn't drive very much. So anyway, I'll do a demo of it. We'll take a look, and I'm going to rev it up, and I'm going to work it through different circuits I'll have it like mid throttle part of it, I'll have it full throttle part of it, and then I'll have it at idle circuit part of it, to make sure that I get through all the circuits of the carburetor. And sometimes you got to do it 2 or 3 times, and a lot of times it works. In this case, it worked great. Yeah, all my jets are cleaned out. It's already running great, and now I don't have to worry about it stalling at the light and all that stuff when I first started it up. So let's do it. All right, so here's how you do it. Very simple. Grab the engine up. Still a little bit of dirt in there, I noticed when I fired it up, so choking it a couple times. Never is a way to go wrong. Maybe you'll have to do it 2 or 3 times. Saves you have to take the carburetor apart. Still a little dirt in there, I think. It was running good on the way home, but anyway, that's how you choke it out. Never mind the rough idle this thing has. That's the cam. She's running good now. Just choked it out a couple more times. Now it's ready to go. Been driving around, it runs good now. It didn't before, it was running really bad. So, been sitting for a while. Anyway, that's how you choke out a carburetor. Hope that helps you guys out. That's your, some guys used to call that a backyard or something tune up. I forget the name of it. Maybe somebody comment that, tell us what it was. Some of you old timers, guys like me, who've done that many times and actually didn't even think about telling anybody else about it, because I've done it so many times I just don't even, it's just normal. It's just everyday life. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully that'll help you out of a bind sometime. Talk to you later.